Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Webby Summer, and we have a very special episode of the Web Show today. I'm unfortunately not joined by Topaz, though he is in the room with us, but I'm not joined by him on this particular episode. We have our very first special guest to talk about something that I really don't have a lot of experience with. I have dabbled a little bit in this type of game genre that we're going to be just discussing today, but it's really not my thing. I've struggled to stay connected, to be engaged, to do all that, and so I decided to bring on a professional. And yes, I am partly saying these things because I am married to her and have to live with her. We have wonderfully Mermade with us.
Hi guys.
So the main reason that I wanted you on, and we'll just basically treat it like a discussion from this point, because I know she's being really considerate of me because she has a lot of podcast experience. As a matter of fact, her and her sister have something of a podcast already. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
That's all right. We're keeping that.
It's just
under
practice
wraps.
right now. You know, it's just when you unveil it, you want to do it like
it's gonna be big.
Yeah,
when it
you want to
comes
do it
out,
like Stranger
so.
Things. You drop the whole season at once, so way people can binge it. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys don't want to miss it, but it's really fun. They've really just played around with the mics and everything and gotten a little more comfortable with that. But this really isn't your element. But but I want you to try to forget about that, because today we're talking about cozy games. And I don't really know where the name for this genre of game comes from, why it started being called cozy, because there are some games in this category are games like Stardew Valley, and I guess I can see why like Disney Dreamlight Valley falls into the category. But for me, those games are not cozy. Like they don't make me feel super comfy. And the reason for that is because they're just, I don't know. I was telling Topaz earlier in the month that something that's cozy for me is the game telling me what to do, like sitting down, if that makes sense. Like we talked a little bit about decision fatigue. If you guys have never heard about decision fatigue before, it's basically this idea that you have to make so many decisions within a day, and with every decision that you make, it wears on your energy capacity for your mind, basically. So the more decisions, even if they're minute decisions, like do I turn left or right here, things like that, just the more decisions, the more fatigue, the more restlessness that you can feel, to the point where when you get home, this happens for us all the time, we can't decide what we want to eat for dinner. That's why it's been real helpful for us to plan that out in advance, make that one of the first decisions. It's for that reason that I think that I have a hard time playing games like Dreamlight Valley or Stardew Valley and things, because there are tasks, but I get to decide how I do them and when I do them and where I do them and with whom I do them. And it's just too many decisions. For me to feel like it's a relaxing game, it feels almost like just an extension of life. And here's another task list of chores and work that I have to do. And that's why I don't get it. And that's why I need you. That's why I need you to talk about it, because I don't.
It's so interesting hearing you, like the way that you perceive them. It's very, very different from how I feel about them. But sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
No. This is why you're here to talk about it, because for me, it's really interesting, or I'm very intrigued to hear you talk about like what it is about these games that are so compelling and cute, because I think that you're nuts. Like I don't fully get it. But your aesthetic, can we talk a little bit about that right now for our visual watchers? Because I pictured cozy that we'd be like in the robes with the ascots and all comfy and cozy, and you were like, nah, I want to take us to Paris.
See, for me, like part of what makes a cozy game is the aesthetic. It's not just about comfort, which I had never heard the term cozy games, and I don't want to like kiss the microphone. The thing about like sorry, I lost my train of thought.
The thing about your husband that you find so
That's what it
wonderful
was.
is how good he is at cooking and
Got it
playing
again.
non-cozy games.
So for me,
I like how you just ran over that and you're like, no, I'm going to talk about what I wanted to talk about.
sorry, and this will probably happen a couple times. I am like super neurodivergent, or
Oh, I love that series.
not neurotypical, so my brain is like all over the place. But I had never heard the term cozy game
hmm
before until you
I
like
feel like
asked
it's kind
me
of new.
to do this podcast. So I didn't even know that that was a genre until you said something to me about it.
So I heard it the first time because I don't even know who the creator was, but I was scrolling on YouTube and it's like Cozy Caitlin or something, I think is her name. Don't quote me on that. But that's her whole thing. And she talks about cozy games. And then shortly after that, Steam had a sale and it was like a whole category. And that was what it was called, was cozy. And so I was like, I guess this is like a genre. And it might
mhm.
have been a genre for a while. I hadn't heard about it until recently either. But it's definitely a type of game. They're hit or miss, but I think it hits more than it misses for you. Like it's a type of
Mhm.
game that I see you be like drawn to more and more. So I'm really interested in learning more about that. So why don't we just dive into it?
Okay.
So cozy games, there's a little bit of a broader view within that subcategory because there's no denying that games like indie game, not all indie games are cozy games, and I think a lot of people think of indie games when they think of cozy games
Mhm.
because there's just something raw and good about what indie developers do. Like there's just something different that you get from a little team of 3 or 4 people that are pouring their heart and soul into a game that you don't get with the big AAA titles from like what Sony and Nintendo are putting out. The closest you might get that Nintendo does do are games like Animal Crossing. So there's not like there's no overlap, but there is definitely a difference in Animal Crossing New Horizons versus Disney Dreamlight Valley is very similar, but
Mhm.
versus like
They're
Stardew
basically
Valley
the same thing.
versus a game that you really like A Little to the Left,
Mhm.
or like Unpacking, where it's unpacking is honestly just an unpacking sim or like an unpacking simulator. And a subcategory of that you are not into
Mhm.
are things like other simulator games. So like Pressure Washer Simulator, or I would argue that the only way I can get into it is like Lawn Mowing Simulator.
See,
But it gets way less cozy because they want you to empirize it, and I don't want to grow a big business. I'm not. If I want to grow a business, I'll do it for real. So those almost make those not cozy. But there's something satisfying. Like Pressure Washer Simulator, the whole game is you clean,
mhm.
and there's something really satisfying about that, like cutting soap, you know.
Mhm.
But I'm talking too much about something that I literally have no idea what I'm talking about, and so I want you to tell me, I guess, tell me what you think a cozy game is.
Well, that's okay. So, and again, my brain, I had like 20,000 bajillion thoughts as you
That's a big
were
number.
saying that. And now I have a horrible memory. So I like can't remember a lot of it. But I guess my first question is I don't fully know what makes a cozy game a cozy game. Like, is there a technical definition or is it just
No,
like
uh,
like country music and rock music? I feel like they're very like this makes a song country music. Like what makes a game a cozy game? Like what are the
that's
you know what I mean?
that's an interesting comparison, and I think it's a really good comparison because it's art to art. Like
Mhm.
music is art, and I believe that like video game work is art, especially the way that we perceive it and play with it now.
Mhm.
There's no doubt like there's love and time, and there's a narrative that's like, so there's writing or poetry, there's actual art, like whether it's hand drawn or digitally animated, like there's true art and there's music script in it. So really video games kind of combine all of these traditional art forms into a new expression. So I think that's a good comparison of art to art for that reason. And because of that reason, I also think that it's an interesting comparison because I don't think anybody knows. There may be somewhere a definition for cozy game per se, but in my experience, everybody kind of has a different take on it. They do seem to be categorized by games that are like repetitive or rote like stuff. Now, for me, sometimes that's kind of grindy, but like like a little to the left.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same thing over and over. You just do it differently, but you organize. Like you organize and tidy, and make things neat, and it's satisfying. Unpacking, you do the same thing. You unpack boxes, but at different stages of a person's life. And Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, really, effectively for the most part, there's a little bit of new as you go along through Animal Crossing, but you're doing the same thing. You're picking up weeds, you're talking to villagers, you're using Nook Mile tickets, and you're completing those tasks and just kind of living within the game like a big sandbox. And so that's the thread that I see drawn through all of them. But as far as like what differentiates them or makes them a cozy game, I don't think anybody really knows. Just like it feels like a cut and dry comparison to compare country music and rock music. But what's the difference in like country and bluegrass and rockabilly and 90s country and 2000s country? They're both country, but they don't sound anything alike. But they're country. So like where are they different? How are they the same? 2020 country is a lot more like 90 pop, And so who knows? I think it's a blurry line. So what interests me is what constitutes a cozy game for you?
I don't know. I guess a game that, this is a really dumb definition, but like a game that feels good to play, I guess.
That's
or
way
like
better than what I thought you were about to say when you said it was dumb. I thought you were about to say, oh, a game that is cozy.
Well, yeah, that
And I
too.
thought it was going to be perfect circular reasoning, but no, that was good. A game that makes you feel good.
Like a game that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Okay.
So like if I'm playing, I don't know. And I'm then sitting here trying to think about like what my favorite cozy game is, and also I think part of it is like a game that I don't have to think a ton about, and I think that's kind of where you and I differ with the decision fatigue, because you're like, well, I have to decide this, and do I want to do that, and do I want to do this, and then you get that decision fatigue. But for me, it's the opposite. Like I really like cozy games like Dreamlight or Animal Crossing. I enjoy those a lot because there are only so many things you can do. It's not this huge, vast, open world. There's one little island, and you can either do this, 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 or this. There you go. Like, and,
okay.
So for me, it's versus like one of the games I'm playing right now is the new Zelda game, and there are a million things to do. There's an enormous map, and every time, like, I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it because the story is really good, but it's really overwhelming for me. So, and I think part of that does have to do with like neurodiversity and all those things. And I think that's, your brain has to like function a little weirdly, I feel like, to really enjoy cozy games. But for me, it's like it's an escape from everyday life. So even if I'm doing something that I would be normally doing in everyday life, so like a little to the left is organizing and decorating or symmetry or whatever, but it's things that I would be doing around the house, but it's like not. I don't know.
But it's also like low cost, high reward. Like if you mess something up and a little to the left, who cares? Do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like that. But if you, I don't know, put a hole in the wall here to hang a picture and it's not where you want it, then you're like,
my
oh
day's
my
ruined.
gosh, I just put a hole in the wall. And now I've got to fix the hole.
We'll never sell the house. It's
ask
ruined.
Webby to fix the hole in the wall.
Yeah, just for me, it's like I don't have to make a decision. Or part of it too, and this is where it gets into that weird territory of like, I don't know if all of this is going to make sense. But so, for example, Disney Dreamlight, there are a certain amount of things you can do. You can either work with the villagers and do tasks and things with them, or hang out with them or whatever and build your friendships. That's like one thing. You can go around your island and collect the things like sticks and rocks and gems and whatever. You can go around and like collect all the things. You can decorate your house, or you can like garden and harvest and those types of things. So that's a very watered down, and there's lots of little branches in each of them. But there's really 4 or 5-ish things that you can do. So it's one of those things where I know if I sit down and I'm like, okay, I got my popcorn, I got my comfy socks on, whatever, like ready to go, I want to play for 10 hours, then I can get on and I can do all of those things and just pick an order, whatever. Or if I only have 15 minutes, I can also, it's a type of game that I can pick up and play for 15 minutes. And I can say, okay, I'm going to just go around and pick all the flowers on the island. And that's all I'm going to do with the 15 minutes. So then run around, pick all the flowers, and then you can set it down. And it was productive because you can sell them or decorate or whatever. And then with Zelda, what I'm playing right now, okay, I can look for Korok seeds. I can do this. There are 20 side quests right now. I could go try to do the main quest. I could go look for caves. I could go look for wells. I could do this. I could fish. There's a million things. And how do you choose? Like, how, So
that's so crazy because I agree with you some when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, because unfortunately to Topaz's like detriment, I basically rushed to that game. And I know like he definitely did a lot more. We've talked a lot about that on the podcast, he definitely did a lot more in the game experientially. But I beat the game first. But which is why it's to his downfall, because of course then he was like, I want to beat the game too. And like he shared with me that when the credits roll, like he has a hard time continuing to play, but there's still so much of that game that he wants to play.
I agree. I struggle with that, which is why when I played Hogwarts Legacy and when I played Horizon
Roblox.
No.
Oh yeah, okay.
Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, all those. I did not do, like, I knew which one, or I looked up what quest was going to be the last main quest, and I did not do it until I was done with everything else. Because when I finish the game, I'm done with the game.
Your Horizon playthrough stressed me out so much because, guys, she's not kidding. She was at like 98.6% complete, like, of the entire game, and then she was like, I think I want to do the final quest now. And of course, she was like 40,000 times overpowered. So she was like, oh, difficult monster that everyone else struggles with. Kapow! And it was done.
See, and that's another reason I do it, though, because it stresses me out and it makes me like rage and get so angry when I throw myself at a monster or enemy or whatever over and over and over again. And I just have like, that just makes me mad. That's not fun, So I want to go out and I'm going to do all the little things and power up and level up. And there's something satisfying about leveling up. I love to level up in games. And it's weird. I don't get it. Don't know why. But there's like something really satisfying about that and like building up your whatever. So then whenever I go through the story,
that's why we work out a lot.
I can actually enjoy the story instead of being really, really angry at whoever I'm fighting because this is the 72nd time I fought this person and I'm still losing. So
yeah. See, that's so let's take that nugget and apply it with a nugget that I had that I didn't share yet, which is really interesting to me because I'm so different. Ironically different because so like Tears of the Kingdom, I rolled the credits and then you've been playing it and everything, and I've been kind of itching to get in and do some stuff I hadn't done in Tears of the Kingdom yet now that the game is done and I don't have to worry about what's coming. I don't have to worry about spoilers because I already know the main story, so I'm not going to run into something in the side quest that messes up my experience of learning what happened through it. I don't have to worry about anything. I know everything that's happening, and now it's like just lore building for me, so it's interesting to me. And then to add to that, like nugget number 2, when it comes to like Horizon and everything and like being overpowered for a boss, one of the things that I found, so use Tears of the Kingdom as the example again, one of the things I was really proud of that was really fun is that I defeated Ganondorf with 8 hearts. I think it's really freaking cool that I messed that dude up and there's still 40 shrines that I haven't done, Like there's
probably
still
more than
probably more than that. I don't know how many there are.
How many tries did it take you?
1.
Really?
Yeah. Your husband is a baddie. Go ahead and say it with us now. Say it. Comment if you're watching this right now so that I know you made it this part of the video. Comment baddie in the comments. You're the real MVP. So I'll heart every comment that says baddie. And I'll like and heart every comment that says Mermade knows he's a baddie.
Anyways.
Anyway, if you're on audio, comment there too. So, but seriously, like it took me one try. Now to be just as transparent as I can possibly be about it, I wasn't doing great. I beat him with like one heart left, and
How many fairies did you have?
oh, a lot of fairies.
So that's what really
I stocked
happened.
up on fairies. Well, no,
If you have enough fairies,
then
you could
you're
go in there
invincible.
with one heart and
Yeah.
be fine. That's what it was.
Don't hate because you
So
see
all
that, big
that
brain move of mine.
I'm a baddie.
Yep.
You're
No, listen.
a punching bag that just kept coming back for more.
He didn't hit me every time. What got me, well, the thing that made
Only
it so
99%.
difficult is that, so if you guys haven't played it yet and you already know about this, gloom deteriorates your hearts.
Mhm.
And so, well, obviously the closer you get to Ganon, there's more gloom. And so, and I finally learned, or because, I didn't travel around very much, I finally learned about things that you can do to try to like build up your resistance to gloom on my way. Like I'm already halfway there. So yeah,
I do, because my brain is all over the place. I realize we've probably spent the majority of this podcast talking about games that are not cozy games. So.
No, I think we're good. But to that credit, like I'll finish this up real quick though, so that we can go back to more cozy topics. I just didn't have a lot of heart like capacity options left when I was there. So I was already down to like 5 by the time I finally made it to him. So the fairies helped. But to be completely transparent though, the thing that I was going to say is that I streamed it, and there was a guy that came in the stream, and he told me something that I didn't know that really...
I hate spoilers.
No, it wasn't a spoiler. It was like a tip. And he asked me before, he was
okay.
like,
That's
hey,
different.
there's something you don't know about this thing. And I'm not gonna say what that thing is here. You can go back and watch the VOD because you haven't played it, and I know you don't want to experience that things. But he told me a function, and I shared it with Topaz, but he told me a function of one of the things that I had with me that I didn't know yet because I'd never tried it. And that function flips that battle. Like it made it... I was like taking out chunks of Ganondorf's health after that. And so, yeah, it was just good. I was a baddie. Anyway, but that's not... I can see how that's not cozy. And, for me...
Zelda is not a cozy game.
I shared with Topaz earlier in the month how Ape Escape or Spyro are games that feel more cozy to me because... Now, if you've never played them, I can see them being a little less cozy. There's something about the repetition that makes it a little more familiar, like seeing an old friend.
It's not a cozy game. It's your comfort game. Kind of like I have movies or shows or books that I go back to.
Oh, these are yours?
And that I go back to over and over again. That's kind of what Spyro is for you. It's not a cozy game. It's a comfort game. Have you ever heard that? Like,
yes.
When,
Absolutely. But that style is also a comfort for me to the point that, like, I don't know if I can say that style is a comfort game because I can play a new game in that style and still really enjoy it. So what I found about me, or what I've learned about me when it comes to being cozy and comfortable and all, it makes me feel just able to relax, which is kind of how I view cozy games, is games that tell me what to do so that I'm not making any decisions. Because, like, to use Spyro as an example, you go in and it's like, Spyro, we need to get all the eggs. Oh, I know I'm going to catch some eggs. Or
that's not all you got to do, though.
No,
there's
you
so
get
many
to
things
more.
in Spyro.
Well, by the time you get to the third game, yes, but the first one is really just free dragons.
Got to catch thieves. I got to do the dragons. There's the speedways that I got to do. There's all the different levels. There's gems that you have to collect. There's the little side thing that's this.
So here's the thing. When it comes to like the first Spyro, specifically the most simple of one, you don't really have to collect the gems. They're there for fun.
But I'm a completionist.
Yeah, they're there for that. But like, it's not even like extra things you have to do, like do the time trials. You do the time trial to get a dragon, but the goal is still you just save dragons. Like it's just that watered down and simple. And with Ape Escape, it's you catch monkeys. And yeah, there's different difficulties in monkeys and different gadgets and different things you can do to catch the monkeys. But at the end of the day, the whole game is all about catching monkeys. So you can just jump in. If you see a monkey, you go get that monkey. And that's just how you play it. And it's awesome.
Well, by that logic, the whole Zelda is just about beating Ganon.
The
whole game is beat Ganon.
Except for the fact that they make you kind of figure it out how to do it on your own. like with this, so with Nasty Nork and Spyro, you know that the way that you get to Nasty Nork is by getting the dragons. But in Spyro, or sorry, in Tears of the Kingdom, yes, you have to kill Ganon, but you don't know anything about what happened to Zelda, where Zelda is. You don't know you don't know where your sword is. You don't know where any of the products are. You don't even know what's been happening in the world, and you are just dropped there in the middle of Hyrule, and you got to figure it out.
So what makes a cozy game is if it has a tutorial.
No, though the games that I find most comforting are not classified as cozy games.
Okay.
So but for me, that feels more comfortable than or cozy than what is stereotypically described as a cozy game, like an Animal Crossing or a Stardew Valley or A Little to the Left. And so what I'm getting at there is that I don't have to make very many decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all pretty simple, and that I like that rote type thing. Tell me more. Well, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, and I know there's no exact math or formula for this, but when I almost, when I think of cozy game, like Animal Crossing and Dreamlight Valley, like I kind of see as a cozy game, but really
Yeah.
when I think cozy games, those aren't the two that come to mind.
Tell me
Like
about the
those
ones that
to
you think
me
of.
feel more like The Sims, like
They
simulator,
are simulators. They're
game.
sandbox
So
simulators because you got, like you said, you got an island. That's your sandbox. You can't go anywhere. And you got
right.
to do everything in that spot.
So
And
that's kind
occasionally
of
you can do something.
feels a little bit different to me when I think of games that make me feel something or like feel cozy or feel good. And I think this is also where it branches off a little bit. It depends a lot on the person, but my particular brain formula, I really enjoy organization games. So for example, A Little to the Left, if you have not played A Little to the Left and you have OCD or something of that nature, best game ever. Like, I don't know that I would say it's my favorite cozy game, but like it'll change your life. It's so good. There's no storyline, no anything. It's literally just a game where you organize things, you make things symmetrical, there's puzzles that you have to figure out, and everything just like all the little things like click and make all these like ASMR sounds, and you just like and all the and it's so good. So there's like that type of cozy game. And then unpacking you brought up earlier. That one is, I don't know that I would say it's not as satisfying as A Little to the Left, but you have a lot more freedom with that one. Like with A Little to the Left, there is a correct answer for each level, or some levels have a few different answers, but there is a thing you're supposed to do in order to move on to the next level. With unpacking, at the end of the day, all you got to do is get everything out of a box. Like, it doesn't matter really where you put it. You get to organize and decorate too, which is another thing if it was all just like organization, it would be good. But I like that I get to decorate too, because one of my favorite things, like when we've moved or done things in life, I love to take things out of boxes and decorate it. I hate packing. Like, that's the worst thing in the world. I hate taking everything down, putting it in a box. That part sucks. But like unpacking and decorating a new pretty room is wonderful. Well, unpacking, you just get to do the pretty fun decorating and unpacking and organizing, and you don't have to do any of the sucky parts beforehand, So that one's really good. Not as satisfying, but it's just fun, and you get to decorate and make a room look pretty. So that's like one branch. And then the other branch I feel like is where people start to think of like indie games. So
which unpacking and A Little to the Left are both indie games, but
right, but I mean, like, neither of those have a storyline. Those are just kind of satisfying, simple, whatever.
By rote task.
Right. But I think there's another branch of cozy games that are the games that are only a few hours long, usually. There's not really a lot to do. You have one task, and sometimes there's like one thing you can collect along the way. But really, you have one goal, and you can explore and look at everything, and they're pretty sights, but like you have one objective for the whole game, or one thing you have to go do. So there are no choices. You just go and do the thing. So games like Abzu, I don't know if you remember that one, where you're underwater, and it's beautiful, and there's a really cool storyline. There's no words at
See, I
all.
really liked Abzu.
They tell the whole story without any words, without anything, and it's just beautiful. And there's a gorgeous soundtrack, and you just go through. There's no talking, there's no decisions, anything. You just travel through this little path that the game has laid out for you, and you just see all these pretty little underwater scenes and like let them kind of tell you a story through pictures and music, and it's like 3 hours long and then you're done, but it's like a beautiful just work of art.
Yes, it
Or
is.
Rhyme is another one. That one will mess you up. I don't know that I'd call that a feel good game because
But it make you feel something.
it'll make you feel something. That's another one that like there aren't really, I can't remember that. It's been so long since I played that one. I can't remember if there's words or not, but it tells this whole crazy story, and it's absolutely beautiful, like aesthetically pleasing, but it's relatively short. I think that one was a little longer. That was like an 8-hour game ish. Like that one took me more than one sitting to finish.
Right.
But beautiful game, and it just makes you feel like just with the music and how everything looks and like the light shining through the trees. It's just a feel good, cozy, like just wrap up in a blanket, sip coffee, and just like drink it all in kind of game, you know?
I agree. I didn't play Rhyme, but I see exactly what you're talking about because I didn't think about that as a category of cozy because I didn't see any games like that in the cozy game sale like on Steam. So they didn't categorize it as that.
And
However,
they may not even be cozy games. That's just what I
yeah,
think of.
but I agree with you because that feels far for the same criteria that I have laid out. That feels far more cozy to me because, like you said, Abzu, you're just kind of you are controlling the speed at which you take the ride, but you are along for the ride. And Rhyme has more puzzles, and so there's a little more work involved. But like a similar game to Abzu that I actually liked more than Abzu, even though I really liked Abzu, is Journey. And I think I had you play it. That's the PlayStation exclusive one with the monk that can fly in the desert and he's trying to get to the end.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
I thought, yeah, you did. I had you played it because I made you play it, and because you liked Abzu so much, it's only like a 4 or 5 hour game itself. You played it in one sitting.
Okay.
But and then I'm excited because this year the makers of both of those games have another game about a guy who like has a sword like that he also uses to surf like on the ocean and everything, and it's similar art style and a similar, I guess, game architect schematic of telling a story with very limited dialogue, which I like because it's kind of the other side of people who don't like the Nintendo lineup of reading a whole bunch, or even with like Animal Crossing, there's tons to read. I don't love that if there's too much reading because it feels like a different experience. So I like voice acting. Voice acting makes the game so much better. But on the flip side of that, if the game just has like no dialogue at all and is capable of taking you on this like emotional paradoxical journey only through the score and through the visuals and the way and order that it presents events in the game as you play it, if it can do all of that without even telling you what's going on and really paint a picture, I think the developers have done really a better job than what some people who have to tell you what's happening do. So those are very comforting, fun games. And I think a thing that makes a game really cozy in a way for me is that time limit you mentioned. Because like I've played games that are puzzly, like What Remains of Edith Finch. Really great indie game. It takes about 4 or 5 hours to play it all the way through. So I can play it in one sitting. I've played it on stream twice. And each sub level is like a different art style and a different like nod of gaming, but it's basically a walking sim, and you just walk through, and Edith tells you the story of what happened with her family and all these people that you're meeting as you go through the rooms of this house. It's kind of sad, but it's very beautiful. It's really, really good. And I was just like enamored with that game. I enjoyed it so much. It was a really good play. I love those kind of games. But I feel like because the net is cast so wide and the terms are so broad, I really struggle with locating games like that. Like finding a game that I'm like, yeah, I want to play that. That's like this other game I played that I really liked. I want to do that. So I don't know even how to go about finding that perfect game. So do you like, because lately you've been, when it comes to finding the games that you really like, you've kind of been like on a roll, really. Like you rolled right out of, well, and even asking me for games or learning about them, which I've known about. I'm very proud of myself for, as like a game journalist type role that I do as Webby Pumpkin, and trying to be in the know. I really try to know as much as I can about what's going on in the industry. And so I've been really proud every time that you've been like, hey, have you heard of this game? I'm like, yeah, this is the director or this is the publisher that put it out. You want it? It's on Switch and Steam and Xbox. And
I
then you're
think I
like,
only did
yeah.
that once, right?
No, you didn't do that only once, because you did that about a little to the left, and I got that for you. And then I located Unpacking for you because it was a similar genre, and I thought you might like it.
Right.
And you weren't sure, but then you really liked it. And then you were like, Webby, have you heard of this game called Bread and Fred? And I was like, yeah, I really want that game. And so I got that the other day because it's on the Steam sale right now. And so, but
So 2, not 1, 2.
I'm giving you a snippet of our lives, people, not this whole thing. But what I mean is, like, all of those events, though, those 3 games that you have found or come into contact with that you would really like, have happened really like in the course of a month.
Well, 2 of them I heard about. One of them you actually told me about. The Unpacking,
Yeah, Unpacking.
You brought that one to me. So, and honestly, both of the games that I'm have found and telling you about are games that I knew about because my sister and I send a million videos back and forth to each other, and amidst our scrolling through social media, whatever, it's popped up. And I don't ever get video game stuff in my feed ever.
Yeah.
Because it's not usually my thing. But because those are so cozy and aesthetically pleasing and whatever,
and you've already
feel
cultivated
good,
that niche and that algorithm.
Those things do pop up every once in a blue moon. And as of right now, only 2 of them have, and one of them is the Bread and Fred. And that one's, I don't think that's a cozy game.
Oh, no.
I think
you're
that
gonna
one has
rage.
popped up because it's funny, because
I think it's gonna be
people
really
are,
funny.
you know, laughing.
I remember you laughing in the kitchen because it's a co-op game, and you were like, but I want to play it with my sister, and she's never over here, and I'm not gonna be able to play it by myself. And I told you, I was like, you can play that game by yourself, and you were like, how? And I was like, well, you get tied to a rock. And you're like, are you serious? But yeah, I don't want to play it tied to a rock, so I'm looking for a friend to play this game with too. But I interrupted you. Continue.
Oh, that's okay. I don't remember what I was
Okay.
saying.
But no, that's not a cozy game, but it was just an example of like you coming into games that you're interested in. As someone who's not keeping up with the industry. Like, it makes sense to me that I would be able to just be like boom, 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 and find all these games that I like. And someone who just knows a ton of games that are coming out and hears about them and does all the directs and the showcases and the Xbox Presents, I still struggle to find games that I just really connect with. And I don't know if that's a problem with me or with what I'm being served or what I'm consuming, or if it's a problem with just where we are in gaming right now, in that we're getting a lot of stuff this year, but it's not necessarily great. And we're also getting what I call like reheated meals. So what I mean by that is like we got earlier in last year, we got the Skyward Sword remake on Switch, and we're getting Pikmin 4, but not for, well, it's actually out now, but in addition to that, we got a Switch port of Pikmin 2 and 3, or 1 and 2, sorry. And then we're getting Batman Arkham Knight on Switch, but that game's been out since the Xbox 360. And so then we're getting like remakes of just different popular titles.
So they're doing what Disney's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like regurgitation culture right now and everything. Disney says, let's take all of our animated movies and make them people now, like live action. And game studios are saying, we made money on this before. We'll do it again. And some of them are...
What was that accent?
That was me pretending to be a fan. It wasn't
Webby.
really an accident, but it was me pretending to be a fantastic developer. But they're just basically saying like, we made money. Some of them will clean it up and give us something that's at least an HD remaster or something good. If you're like Nintendo, you'll just put the exact same thing back on the Switch that we've had before, like the 3D All-Star Collection. Those games didn't get a remaster or anything, and then you'll ask full price for it. So that's my thoughts on that, which this podcast and people who've been following me for a while now are no strangers to the fact that I feel like Nintendo is just super anti-consumer. So I don't even feel bad about calling them out on that kind of thing. That being said, I love the system. I love the console. And I think its handheld and dockable like home console capabilities make it the perfect console for cozy games. I think you would probably agree if you had the option to pick where you play a cozy game, probably the Switch right now.
I almost always prefer handheld unless a game is really big and there's a lot of detail. So, for example, when I played Horizon, there
Yeah.
was just so much
That's too
detail.
much for a
Like
small
just
screen.
yeah. So with some games, it just has to be on a big screen. But most of the time, I like to have like if I'm going to play a game, I want it to be handheld because I like to just cocoon in a bunch of blankets and make a little nest of pillows and, hermit my little snacks and just gremlin it up and,
Do you think that
play
adds
my
to the
game.
coziness of the game if you can play it in that form factor? Because I'm wondering, like, all the
Well,
games that you really have found cozy that you shared with me that you really liked, with the exception of like Abzu. Well, Abzu and Rhyme, you did play on a TV, but like you said, you pulled a chair and an ottoman all the way up to the TV, and then you wrapped yourself up in blankets and got really cozy and played it.
mm-hmm.
And it's only amplified when you played things like A Little to the Left or Unpacking, where I would come into the living room and you were literally in that cocoon that you're talking about, and the only thing that you could see was like you would hold the switch in your left hand like this and your right hand would be touching the screen, and it's like 4 inches away from your face, and then you'd look up and you're like, I like this game.
I think that you can play any game in a blanket cocoon. You can do really
not just ants
and all the things that I love in your blanket cocoon. You can read, you can play games. That's kind of where that
so you just have a cozy lifestyle aesthetic in general.
Yes, that's what I strive for. No, but so you can do any game like that, but I think cozy games just add to it. Like it's already enjoyable and you feel cozy, but if you like get in that cozy situation and then you play a cozy game on top of it, it just like fills your blanket cocoon with warmth. I don't know.
It's just like an extra layer of good and cozy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I do actually think that I have a little bit better of an understanding after this conversation about just the appeal. Like what is drawing people to these games that a lot of them don't really even have an ending. Like, yes, you can roll the credit on like Dreamlight and things like that, and you can roll the credits on Animal Crossing and stuff like that. But really, these are games that you could just live in. Like, you could just keep playing and playing and playing. Now, obviously, A Little to the Left has an ending. You can finish all the levels. You could go back and replay them, but puzzle games just aren't the same a second time through because there's no reward in figuring it out. But Unpacking, you could decorate that house in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And so the house, but like maybe you would do it differently after you revisit, 3 or 4 years later, you might do it differently. So I can see some replay value to a game like that. But all that being said, I do feel like I have a little bit better of an understanding as to what draws people into these games, or at least what draws you into these games.
Well, and games like Dreamlight and Animal Crossing, the simulator games, and even with, like, I know earlier you were saying that I didn't like some of the things, and I do like some of them. So, like, power washing,
yeah,
or pressure washing simulator,
yeah,
I would be all over that because it's cleaning. Now, with lawn mowing simulator, probably wouldn't enjoy that. But the reason that I gave you such a hard time about that is because that's what you were doing for work, like for your job, is you would go out and you would mow and then you would come home and you would play a video game where you mowed. And I was like, why? Like, I don't understand, So I didn't understand that. But other like simulator games, I enjoy or I think can be fun. They're not my favorite, but
that's an interesting comparison because one of the things that you do with your off time here is you clean and tidy and organize. And then for fun, you sit down and you play unpacking, or a little to the left where you clean and tidy and organize.
Well, so let me. Oh, I think I may have just made a connection. Okay,
Whoa.
so where I was
All right,
gonna,
guys, buckle up. Let's go.
where I was gonna go with that is, I don't enjoy the process of doing those things, but I like the end result.
Yeah, that feeling of reward.
Of having a clean house.
Yeah.
But with a game where I'm doing that. And I don't really have a game where I clean. Cleaning isn't.
Well, you just said pressure washing simulator. You'd
No,
like it for that
I
reason.
know, but it. And if something is like grossly dirty and there's a drastic before and after where it's really satisfying, it does. It's cleaning isn't the thing that really just like gets me going though. Organization is.
Okay.
So like with a little to the left, you're not cleaning anything really. Or I don't think there are any levels where you clean anything. It's all organization. And there are different patterns that you have to organize things with, or there are different things where you have to make it symmetrical, or it's all organization and moving things around, fitting things into exactly the right shaped hole, like all these different things. You're not cleaning, you know?
Okay.
So part of that is, so there's that. But with, to kind of go back to where I was starting with this, with like Dreamlight or Animal Crossing, like in Dreamlight, I can decorate my house and make everything super, super beautiful. But I don't have to pay for the decorations. I just have them, or I can go out and pick a couple flowers, mine a couple gems, whatever, sell them, and like buy some stuff from the in-game store. So I'm not having to go out and work for money, then take that money, make sure all my bills are paid, and then go out and buy decorations for the house, then come home, hope that all the decorations go together. And if they don't, I'm out of luck because I already spent my money and now I don't have any more money left. And then actually all that takes effort. And then even the process of decorating, I'm having to get up and down off of a ladder or a chair. I'm having to actually like put energy forward. And as somebody who struggles a lot with energy and like keeping those energy levels up and, you know, getting out of bed and doing a lot of these things, having a game where I can do all those things, but it doesn't take any energy, doesn't take any money, doesn't take any of those things that are like the not fun side of it, just like unpacking. Like it's the fun part, and I don't have to do the unfun part to be able to do it. Like I just have the decorations. I can go in, I can decorate my house and get that satisfying enjoyment out of decorating a house. But
it makes it more accessible to you.
Yeah.
Because there's not really any risk.
And there's not as many limitations. Like I don't have to be as creative with, you know, I have one plant and a book and a can of paint. Here we go. Like I can just click a button and change the wall colors, you know? So
yeah, it's much less time consuming in a way too.
Yeah, I think it's all the fun parts of decorating and doing all those things without all the not fun parts. And even if you do have to grind a little bit, like I have to make money to buy the decorations in the game, okay, my fingers move and do this, and that's all the energy that my body's putting forth. Like I walk around for 20 minutes and collect gems and shells and whatever, and I sell them, and then I can go buy whatever I want, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have to go, you know, wait tables for 8 hours, and then I can afford a cup.
That's an interesting viewpoint, and I hadn't thought about it like that, because it reminds me of how some people describe like why they play NBA 2K or Madden or all these like sports games. They're like, why do you play a basketball game when you can go outside and play basketball, right?
Because I'm out of shape.
That's it, because I can't jump like Kobe, like that type of thing. But in the game I can, you know, and in this, you know, you don't have a interior designer or time to paint, but in the game it's just accessible and there it is to you. And similarly with lawn mowing simulator, I would.
Well, that's where the connection was starting to happen
between us.
Well, just like I didn't understand why you liked lawn mowing simulator, you didn't understand why I liked cozy games or whatever, like Dreamlight, Animal Crossing, those types of cozy games. And I think it's the same thing for you with lawn mowing simulator. You like the feeling of having a lawn done and cut, but when you do it on lawn mowing simulator, you get that end result, but you don't have to be out in the heat for it. You don't have to.
It's actually the process that I find more interesting, because striping a line, like as you see the grass like go down, it's just really satisfying, like cutting soap. But you're right, I'm not paying for gas.
Mm-hmm.
I get to use mowers that are better than what I actually own myself, like these big crazy industrial zero
Mm-hmm.
turns. And there's basically an endless supply of yards.
Yeah.
Whereas like I get to cut a bunch of different types of yards and things, or see different areas around. I think it's based in like London,
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere in the UK, but all these different areas and types of grass and different like yards that I wouldn't get to experience in the real world. And the best part is that I can do it in the air conditioning,
Yeah.
because when I'm cutting grass for real, it's really really hot,
Mm-hmm.
because where we live is just hot and humid. This is how it is. So yeah, that's a neat little like roadway we just built there,
Mm-hmm.
to a better understanding, and hopefully maybe that gave you guys like some better understanding as well of just stuff. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
how else do you describe that? It's just like other. I mean, you can go into these whole things about how everybody's different and you think like this or whatnot, but that's for a different type of
If you
podcast.
two are in a relationship where you think the games your husband likes are stupid and he thinks the games you like are stupid.
You might be neurodivergent. That could be it. But no, I will. Mermaid, thank you for coming on and talking about that and sharing your ideas and your thoughts and experiences with cozy games. We've got just a couple minutes left and everything, so I want to just let that be like free airspace for you to, and don't get nervous about it, but like free airspace to add anything that you would like to add or that you want to talk about, or to give you like a prompt, if this helps as well, make any kind of recommendations or thoughts about games if someone finds themselves, because a lot of the people that like follow Webby Pumpkin and are here don't really see that kind of game from me very often, like that kind of content. And so, or maybe you just stumbled across this because you searched Comfy Game Podcast on Spotify and hey, nice to meet you. Like maybe that's how this happened. Whatever the case may be, if there's someone who's like looking for a game to play, because this is Webby Summer, we're just having a good time and relaxing and making recommendations and having a good time. What would you tell that person, or what games would you recommend, or systems, or any? Is there anything that you would just like to share? It's very open, broad net casting.
I mean, I feel like I probably will sound like a broken record because, as I said earlier, I do enjoy cozy games and I enjoy video games, but they're not really my thing. So I don't play a lot of them. So the ones that I've mentioned are really the only ones I feel like I've played. So, like, probably my favorite in terms of satisfying levels is A Little to the Left. So that's a really, really good one. Highly suggest it. And they just came out with DLC content, which was wonderful. Cupboards and drawers. So that's definitely a big one that I would like recommend to people. I liked unpacking. It wasn't quite as satisfying, but if you like decorating houses, then that's a good one. If you enjoyed The Sims, if you were one of those people who spent hours and hours and hours and hours, then Dreamlight, Animal Crossing are not exactly the same, but they're like a more bubbly, wholesome version, you know.
I just thought while you were talking about this, games that are like art games where you draw or color and things like that. You know what I'm talking about?
So, okay, I do. And as you said that, it made me think of something else. Would you consider a phone game to fall under the cozy game category? Because there are a lot of phone games that I really enjoy that are that monotonous.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would necessarily call them cozy.
Oh, I totally think that they would fit, because especially with us seeing people like Microsoft wanting to buy Activision Blizzard King, just they say specifically for King so they can get into mobile development, and seeing how much money mobile game developers are bringing in, and how much that like traditional game industry is interested in those like revenue streams and avenues. I definitely like there's definitely those purists that are going to say that's not real gaming, but I really don't think that you could
I don't
take it away or
really
discredit
think
it,
it's
because
a video game
but it is.
necessarily. Depending on
It just doesn't
which
use a
one you
controller.
play, you know, because so for example, my favorite type of phone game is usually a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Which this is really interesting. I really like puzzle games on my phone where I can take it and it takes me all of 5 or 10 minutes to do a puzzle. I don't like handheld puzzle games. It makes no sense, but that to me feels like I don't want to do that thing for hours. I want to do it for a couple minutes and then set it down.
When you say handheld puzzle games, are you meaning like a handheld gaming system puzzle game?
No, like on
You
my
mean
phone.
well, you said you like the ones on your phone.
Yeah, but I don't want one on one that I would use a controller.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry, I probably didn't say that right.
That's
but
why I think you can't discredit it, because you would consider A Little to the Left or Unpacking real games, right?
Mhm.
But you played both of those games only with the touchscreen on the Switch, just like it was a big phone.
Right.
So
I don't see that one as a puzzle game, though.
That's why I think the two are really the same. Like, you can, I don't think you can discredit the phone games in this category if there are some games that make you feel warm and cozy and fun, and they happen to be on your phone. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So in other words, if you got some recommendations on your phone, or if you want to talk about phone games, go for it.
Well, all I was saying was I don't like playing puzzle games on like the Switch or PlayStation or whatever usually. But I do like playing those on my phone and with like A Little to the Left. I don't necessarily consider that one a puzzle game. Like it is, but it feels more organization to me than a puzzle, you know. But it just depends on the level. Anyways, there are a lot of puzzle games that I do really enjoy on my phone, but I don't think puzzle games really are the same as cozy games. So they're also, My Singing Monsters is probably one of my favorite ones. I played for a really long time. I don't know if that counts as cozy either, but I liked that there were all the different sounds. There was that thing with, like in Animal Crossing, you go and you harvest all your, your orchard or your garden or whatever, and then you can go and you can sell them. On a much less intense version or a much more watered down scale in My Singing Monsters, you click on all the monsters, collect all your money, and then you use that money to buy decorations or whatever for your island's other monsters. So My Singing Monsters is a big one. I also recently have gotten into Dragon Veil. That one's kind of new, so I'm not super far into that one yet, but I have a couple people in my family who are big Dragon Veilers, so I did start that one. But those feel a little different to me too. They don't really make me feel cozy. They're just kind of like, they're time killers, So
do you think if you had the option to play A Little to the Left on your phone, you would have played it there?
I probably would have, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much because the screen is so much smaller.
But if you played it on your iPad, you would have liked it fine.
Probably.
Interesting. It's interesting that you thought so much about it, because I'm curious. I wonder if it's like something about the mind like perspective or the cozy cuteness of the Switch that made that more appealing, because the iPad's a bigger screen than the Switch.
Well, it's all about aesthetics. And I know that's silly, but that's one of the things that makes a cozy game is like it is very aesthetically pleasing, satisfying. So I'm sure that plays a role in it.
Yeah. And when you can look, because you have like, the beautiful baby blue, like Switch light, and then your whole thing, despite all the reds that you're wearing, your whole thing is usually blues and greens. So you're snuggled up, and you got, like, when you stand back, your Switch, it's pretty just as itself. And so you're looking at this pretty device that has a screen, and you see all this aesthetically pleasing stuff. And I can't help but think that is forming some of the opinion on it, which I think is just really interesting.
There's just a vibe. I mean, and it's just like I've recently gotten, because I'm a nerd and a grandmother, I've recently gotten into crossword puzzles, and I 100% can download a crossword puzzle app on my phone and do it that way. But that is not nearly as enjoyable to me as I went out and I bought an actual crossword puzzle book and had to have pen and paper or pencil and paper because I mess up a lot. And to be able to write it out physically, like the vibe, the feeling, the warm, fuzzy, whatever that I get from it, the dopamine is just better.
Yeah.
So
that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Well, Mermade, again, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a good time. I hope it was fun. Guys, if you want to hang out more or ask questions to Mermade, you can funnel those through me. Well, actually, we'll get to that. Actually, don't funnel them through me. Mermade, when you're not gaming and everything, you actually have a little art business and an Etsy shop and all kinds of stuff. You want to take the last couple seconds to tell everybody about that?
Well, honestly, I need to revamp my Etsy shop. I have like 3 listings or something on it, but I do have socials. I've got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. And I'm really, really bad about getting distracted and not making posts nearly as often as I should. But if you like whimsical, fun, mermaid, sparkly, whatever, mushroom, cottagecore, all those cutesy feel good things, type of art, and you like seeing that in your newsfeed as you're scrolling on social, then you can follow me. And sometimes I'll make posts.
I'll be sure to drop a link in the bio and the description wherever you guys are listening, whether that's audio, whether that is video, whether that's on YouTube or Spotify, no matter where. If you'll check the description of this video or of this podcast, I'll be sure to put a link to all of Mermade social as well. You can also hang out with me every Tuesday and Thursday night over at twitch.tv/WebbyPumpkin, usually around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We've been playing some Only Up. We've been playing with the community, whether that be Fortnite or Minecraft, and having a good time there. And I have a large backlog of games, that most of which are not really cozy, that we've been playing through. The goal is to try to get all of those played down before October so that we can get ready for 'Tis the Season to be Webby, which is, the time that the pumpkins shine. Also, obviously, if you're already watching on YouTube, then hey, you're on the YouTube channel. But we also have a secondary channel called Webby Pumpkin Streams. It's linked on the channel as well, and you can catch VODs and clips of our previous streams there. It's a work in progress, but it would mean a lot if you checked that out. Follow me on Twitter at Webby Pumpkin. Would love to hang out and engage with you there. And I think that's all the places. My name is Webby Pumpkin everywhere, so it's super easy to find. And if that's everything, Mermade, again, thank you for coming on. And we hope that you guys have had an incredible summer and continue to do that for the remainder of the time that it's warm. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening all the way to the end. Be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening, or give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That really helps out the channel a lot. And don't forget to comment that thing that I told you to comment, that now I can't remember what I told you to comment. So only the real ones will know. But don't forget to comment that below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.